would make the assumption that in the Game of Thrones / A Song of Fire and Ice series, that the most hated characters are Joffrey, Cersei, Sansa, and Cat. Which I think maybe Tywin would be, with Tywin Lannister probably being 5th on that list. Of course, there are implications to having, 2 female characters who really don't do anything quite villainous being seen as so horrible, but that is, again, opinion-based, and I can't judge other people's opinion like that. But this video will be me talking about why I like, nay, love the character of Sansa Stark. Now, I'm going to do this without spoilers for the sake of people who have only watched the first season of Game of Thrones and have seen the trailers and previews for the upcoming season, so there won't be any spoilers in here. It'll more talk about concepts, but no specific details. A lot of people like to look at Sansa and look at Arya and think, oh my god, why can't Sansa be Arya? And I think when you come into analyzing Sansa's character through that lens, you're already doing her a disservice. She's not Arya. From the beginning, they're put to be 2 completely different parts of the girl spectrum, the tomboy and the girly girl. And Sansa is a girly girl, and she has been reared to be a wife, a mother, maternal, and passive. Those are the traits that she has been taught to have. And if you want proof of that, you just look at the scene in episode 4, I believe, when Ned talks to Arya about the future and said that she'll be a wife of some lord, and she'll have children, and there'll be knights and lords or princes, whatever. That is how they're raised, and that is what they're told to expect. Arya has happened to embrace the more rebellious side of that due to her appearance being more like a Stark than a Tully. Which, if you read the books, they make a big deal out of the fact that, Arya and Jon Snow look the most like Ned, where the other children all favor their mother, their Tully side. And Sansa has embraced that idea from her septas, from her parents. She believes that that is the calling she has in life. And her embracing of that is a norm. And people seem to forget that she's only 13. She's going through a part of her life where she's changing and going through that rebellious teen shit that every teenage person goes through, and she finds an escape from the North, from her parents, and from, her life, her normal life with her sisters and her brothers, to the idealized fairy tale world of Joffrey and King's Landing and Cersei. They, to her, project an image of, this is your future and it's going to be awesome. She could become queen. That's not some little thing. She will be queen if she marries Joffrey. And it's not as if, it's a queen in the sense that she will have power. She will have authority, and she will be with someone who she quote-unquote loves. And seeing how she's been read on these fairy tales, that would be a dream come true for her. Now, I do not defend the choices lightheartedly. I do believe that you should side with your family in these situations. You've seen it on my rants about The Little Mermaid. I do not like it when they have female characters be so blind as to, give up their entire family for love. But that's not what Sansa does exactly. Yes, she does lie in the situation with her parents. She does lie in the situation with Arya and the direwolf and Joffrey. But as Ned tells Arya, she was being brought towards the king, the queen, and the prince, who she's betrothed to at this point, and is forced to call him a liar. The repercussions of that would not be small. She would basically be setting her sights lower, because the thing is that, she could be married off to anybody. She could be married off to, you know, a Frey, a Dorne person, anyone. She could be, she's a commodity at this point. And she has found the best, at her point, option for her. I mean, she could end up being married to one of the Freys, and if you've read the book, you know that's not really a promising thing. She probably has had little interaction with any other promising male suitors besides Joffrey, and she will fuck up her chances of having a good, in terms of social and idealism, marriage for someone she doesn't care about, and that's Arya. Not to mention just the fact that you cannot just call the prince a liar. I'm sorry, people look at Arya and think what she does is all based on bravery and courage. She's even younger than Sansa. She does not, in my opinion, at that point in the show, understand the repercussions of what she does and what she says. You cannot just tell the truth. If anything, Ned's death at the end of this season should show you that. The truth and being honest and virtuous is not a quality that will let you keep your life. And Sansa understands that, where these others simply do not. And now, as we close onto the series, Sansa's in a situation where she is the only person on her side 100% in King's Landing. She is going to have to be under the thumb of Joffrey, Cersei, when Tywin comes down, them, and public opinion going against the Lannisters. And if she betrays Joffrey openly, she will die. And she's 13 years old. And I don't want to spoil it, but if you see from the previews, she's going to be beaten. She's going to be abused. She's going to be tormented by these people and have to pretend to be on their side. Otherwise, she is going to die. Joffrey is crazy. Joffrey will kill Sansa. She will destroy her. And he's already showing that every single step of the way. And if Arya were where Sansa was, Arya would be dead. Because Arya, for all her badassery, and I'm not saying she's not a badass, she doesn't know how to play this game. She wants to solve everything by action, by fighting, and that's not how this will be solved. It's not how you can survive the situation. She's outnumbered. She has no true allies. She would be dead if she stood up against Joffrey. And Sansa understands that. And people will take her passivity and take it to mean that she doesn't care, that it doesn't mean anything to her. I doubt that she thought when she said those things about, when she didn't defend Arya in the business, that next thing you knew, their father would be killed. I mean, she thought that she was going to try and help her father by pleading for his defense. She believed in Joffrey. She believed in Cersei, that they wanted to help her. And she's a kid. She's older than Arya. That does not mean that she's, you know, so much more worldly than her. She's like 2 years older than her sister, 3 at the most. There's not a big gap in between them. She's still young. She's still naive in a completely different way than Arya is naive. And she tries to save her father. And no matter what she would have done, Ned was going to die. That cannot be blamed on her. I don't understand why people would blame that on her to begin with. She didn't want that. She didn't expect that. She was trying to help her family the only way she knew how. And to be honest, what more could she have done? If she had assassinated Joffrey, Ned would still be dead. If they had assassinated Cersei, Ned would still die. He would be the first one to go, and the rest of them would follow, and all the Starks would be dead that were at that point. It is inconceivable to me that Sansa could have handled that situation at that point any other way than how she already did. And now she's stuck in this horrible situation and having to deal with this. And she will deal with this situation for a while. I won't say how long, but it's going to be a long time before she escapes that hold that the Lannisters will have on her. And she manages not to become a psychopath in the process, which a lot of characters, under the pressures and the hardships of the life that they are leading, become warped of who they are. Sansa never loses her hope. She never loses that hope that people can be better. And to people that might seem as a weakness, that is a strength. To go through life and see all these things and all these horrible things done to you, but still hope, still wish, still try to hope that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And that's not weak to me. That's strength. And I don't think that people give Sansa the credit that she deserves, even if they don't like her character, which is not the point. But they completely push her aside because of what she did, because of her siding with Joffrey, and not thinking about, well, those are her options. I mean, this may be a pseudo-medieval environment, but if you look at it at this time, you know, she may be a princess, but, and I mean princess very loosely because she has no real authoritative power, she is just there to be married off. She is just there to have children and to be a wife. She's not going to be politically savvy. Every single woman on this show, but until you get to House Myrtle with the Dorns, and then sometimes with Brienne and then Daenerys, but Brienne is a huge exception and she gets shit on that furrow. Women are not supposed to be in positions of authority. There are no women on the council. There are no women ruling besides in Dorne. There is no, and maybe Daenerys, but if Viserys was around, they would have him instead. There are no positions of power for women. Who would be her example? You know, and those are the stories that they tell you. I mean, even looking at our society and how we program girls of what they should want in life is no different from how Sansa has been programmed to be told, this is what you should want, this is the life you're supposed to lead. It's the exact same thing with a different setting. And I feel like Sansa's a product of her environment. But she grows out of it. But not in the same way that, you know, people want it to be. People want her to come with, you know, swords ablaze and fighting and destroying and chaos, but that's not the only way to have strength as a character. And not the only way to be powerful. There are different kinds of power, there's different kinds of survival, and as long as at the end of the day you live, that's what's important. And I don't agree with all of her choices, and I don't think she's a perfect character, but I like her because she struggles so deeply, but tries to hold on to the hope that she has, where so many other people have given up. So, I know people are going to disagree with me, and that's fine, but I like Sansa. I think she has a lot to offer, and I hope that they show, quite frankly, all of the horrible things she has to deal with, because all of those things show you that for someone who's perceived to be weak, she handles a lot. And they're not easy things that she deals through personally or has to watch. And I think that's important to really getting to who she is as a character.